so I'm going to take you back to the future today, minus the DeLorean and the crazy doctor and going 88 miles an hour. However, those of you that know me know that I'm going to talk fast normally, and I have 5 minutes and slides that keep moving, so I'm going to talk even faster. So today I'm going to tell you a story about a friend of mine. This is my friend right here. We talk a lot as educators about we want kids to do a job that we might not know exists right now, okay? This friend here, that's what he was. As he was growing up, he wanted a job and he had no idea what the name of it was. So he went out, did some work, and learned to do some different things. First thing, that guy, yes, that was me. This is my father, Director Karl Hehr. Told me one thing, very, very important, don't push him off all your life. He's been a custodian and a bus driver his entire life. He started driving bus in 1964. He was a senior in high school. He still drives bus every single freaking day. I think he's crazy. He made sure I spent 2 summers as a custodian, so I learned what it was to be a hard worker. My mom was an educator. In the bottom right-hand corner, we found this picture when my mom passed away. That is one of the very first computers in Fayette County in a school. How ironic is it that I found a picture and my mom was helping teach kids computers, and that's what I do now. How many of you are parents, have parents as educators? Okay, teachers. I grew up in a school building. I would do Ellison dies, I'd do bulletin boards, I'd cut all this stuff. I'm like, this is crazy, why are you doing that? Said, Mom, if I ever want to be an educator, slap me. She didn't hit me hard enough. Mom and Dad knew that computers were important. They didn't know what they would do. They didn't know how they would do anything. So they went out with limited budget they had, made sure Keith and I had a computer. This is my brother Keith. We had an Apple IIc computer. And we did really, really important educational things. We played Oregon Trail and we tried to kill our friends as fast as we could. There was no, hey, you need to learn this specific thing. It's we played a game and we learned how to do some different stuff. We didn't know what we were learning, but it's going to be fun. Okay, and then we weren't playing Oregon Trail, we played Carmen Sandiego. Okay, again, how many are familiar with Carmen Sandiego? You're getting too close, Seamus, and a box falls on your head, right? So, Carmen Sandiego, I might have learned geography, yeah, so what? But it was playing with the computer and interacting with the computer. My parents saw that as something that was super, super important. And they said, we're going to put whatever it takes to get into your hands what you needed to do. This is an Apple IIe computer. Down the hall, I was complaining one day in my mom's 5th grade classroom, and I said, hey, I'm really bored. I'm tired of cutting crap out. She said, hey, the Apple II lab down the hall is busted. Go fix it. Okay. Middle school, Carl walks down there, and I don't know how this works, and I started taking stuff apart, figuring it out. That Apple II computer sits next to my desk right now from West Central Community Schools. It's in my office. It's a computer I worked on when I was a little kid. First time I got on the internet, it totally freaking blew my mind. I had no idea how this was going to work. I didn't know what it was for. I didn't know what I could do with it, but I knew that if I took this phone and I put it on this cradle, I could talk to people all over the world, and that blew my tiny little mind. So, we as school districts were putting computers in the hands of kids. We're getting kids doing computers, but we're always like, well, what are we doing with the computers? When I was in high school, we didn't have access to the internet until I was a senior in high school. We had one computer lab that was access to the internet by the time I was a senior. And we went in there and did super important things, like we set up Hotmail, and then we found out if we sent an email to somebody across the computer lab, it would ding. And then we could figure out how to queue up a crap ton of emails, and it would all send at once. And it would go ding, 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 ding. And it would drive the teacher absolutely freaking crazy. But we figured it out. We could do it. We could play with it. We built websites with super, super useful things like exploding chicken GIFs. It served no academic purpose. But Tom Severson, my high school journalism teacher, English teacher, because of him, I am here today because he let me play with that computer and he let me try to figure out what I could do with that computer and how I could start to bring those two worlds together. I grew up in a family of educators. I have artifacts in my office of my educators. My grandmother was taught in a one-room schoolhouse. You want to come hang out in my office? I have a slate tablet from my grandmother's one-room schoolhouse. I have my mom's classroom bell that she got when she was teaching for 16 years. That's hanging out in my office. I wanted to bring those two worlds together, and I couldn't figure out how to do it because there was no such thing as a technology director, right? But I had people that were constantly putting things in my place, in my path. I was so blessed to be surrounded by educators that gave a damn about me and parents that worked their tail off to make sure I had what I needed. We have no idea what you're going to do with this, but you wrote a basic computer program to do this one thing. That's really cool. Pat on the head, Carl. I have no idea how you did that. And we couldn't Google it at the time, so we actually read books, right? So one of the things I want to challenge you with is there are kids in our schools that are just like me. We say, hey, we want to prepare you for a job that might not exist when I was a kid. Okay, so what are we doing about it? What are we doing? We give them more standardized tests. We push them to do this. We do this. We don't give them a chance to be creative. If we give them a chance to be creative, that's like, you're wasting time. No, they're not. They're learning something. Let them learn something because these are the skills we want our kids to be able to have. We want them to be amazing at what they do. And now here at Edwards, one of the things that we have is we have this maker fair. Kids, why did you make this pen that draws circles? I don't know, because I could. Sweet, that's super awesome. Over here, we have a picture that if you touch the different pieces of the flower, it will read it to you and tell you what it is. So take some time as you prepare for the school year to go back and think, what can I do to get out of their freaking way and let them be kids and let them learn some stuff? Because they will surprise you, even the littles. And you know what? Then you're actually preparing them to be successful in a job that might not exist.